Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock Batters Orthopedic Clinic, Parish Construction and Roofing. If you need an orthopedist, you go to Brock and Roof. You call Parish, of course, Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, and On Fire Athletes, the platform powered by GameCoin. All our sponsor info always scrolling right there at the bottom. Thank you for that. Okay, really busy Saturday. The baseball Tigers got a nice win. We'll dive into 20 strikeouts for the LSU baseball staff, 15 from Anthony Ianson. Big news on Saturday. Saints reportedly have agreed to restructure Derek Carr's contract. That should come as no surprise, given the comments that Mickey Loomis made at the Combine that they were going to restructure, that they were rolling with Derek Carr. Well, the only way that was going to make sense is if they restructured his contract. So that word came yesterday. If there's one thing that I get pushback on from people who are sort of pro Derek Carr, it's when I hear people say he's not their biggest issue, and that's true. And I've never once ever argued that Derek Carr is the Saints' biggest issue, because I don't think he is. He's still a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. I just don't think he's a championship. Like, he'll never win a championship. So you have a lower ceiling with Carr. What is your biggest issue is that you have a quarterback with a lower ceiling and a disproportionate contract. That's the problem. So, for example, with the new restructure, if you move on from Derek Carr next year, he would carry a $59.6 million dead cap number. So that means 2026, all right? So he'll be your quarterback in 25. But in 2026, if you want to move on, it will cost $59 million against the cap. That's the problem. That number, the further down the road you just keep pushing that money, that dead number keeps going up. So it's going to keep costing you more and more and more the longer you put this off. And they're not willing to do it. And so you're going to roll with Derek Carr this year. You're going to win 7, maybe 8 games, lower ceiling. And if you wanted to move on next year, you're in a really sticky spot because it'll cost you $60 million against your cap to not have him on the roster because you did a bad contract. That's my point. And I know I yell a lot, so sometimes my point is lost in translation. But that's the problem with Derek Carr. That's the problem with the contract. It's not that Derek Carr's an awful player and he's your biggest problem. He's a problem because he's got a lower ceiling. He's a limited player. We've got a decade of experience, 11 years of evidence to suggest what he is. So, bummer. Other news, Josh Thompson, the transfer offensive lineman from Northwestern, we reported over at LouisianaSports.net, not with the team day one of practice. So, after learning he was not with the team day one of practice, I set to find out why. Apparently, so he's at Northwestern still. Their academic calendar is on the quarter system. So their quarter ends March 21st. So he'll finish his degree and get his degree from Northwestern. He'll finish March 21st. Then he'll come for the remainder of spring practice. So he will be here for spring, just at the end of spring, probably the second half of spring practice. And I think I counted up, it's like the final 7 practices or something like that he'll make. So, so in the meantime, DJ Chester ran with the first team at right guard yesterday. So Braylon Moore, again, there was no media availability, but there's plenty of people that go and you talk to people, and so you find out. So Tyree Adams was left tackle, Paul Mabenga was left guard, Braylon Moore from Virginia Tech was center, DJ Chester was at right guard, and Weston Davis was at right tackle. That was your first team offensive line at the first spring practice. So again, we'll be able to watch a little bit of practice on Wednesday. So that'll be our first sort of glimpse of the team during the spring, and I'd love to give you more info then. But Josh Thompson, not with the team right now, finishing up his degree at Northwestern. He'll be here again about the second half of spring practice. Oh, almighty, it's over. Cartel Bo, good morning. Hey, Blaze, good morning. Merrick, good morning. Headed to the baseball game. Okay, awesome, man. Yeah, Tigers, what a day for the baseball team yesterday. Bear Jones, after going 0 for 5 Friday, bounces back with a homer and 2 doubles. One of the doubles hit off the top of the wall, too. I mean, he missed a homer by a foot. I mean, literally a foot. It hit the top of the padding on the top of the wall and came back in. So, I mean, a foot more, and it's gone. Big day. And then, of course, Anthony Ianson was so interesting because in the first inning, he gave up 2 runs. He walked the guy on a borderline pitch, but then gave up double single. And so you're down 2-0. But after that, he was so locked in. I mean, he got you through 7 innings on 90. I think he was 96 pitches. I mean, I wrote down, I mean, he was still sitting 93, 94 in the 7th inning as he was approaching 100 pitches, which is awesome. I love that after the rough first, he came back in the second, struck out the side on 12 pitches. And then, he struck out the side in the 7th as well, his final inning of work, which was awesome to see, man. So 15 strikeouts for Ianson. They went to Zach Cohen after that. Excuse me, Zach Cowan. Not to break that habit. Who came in? Forgive me. Cowan struck out the side in the 9th. Ianson didn't strike out the side in the 7th. Cowan struck out the side in the 9th. Came in 5 of the 6 outs he recorded were strikeouts. You're going against an overmatched team, but it was a nice day for LSU. Hey, Kelly Gross, good morning. Ray Langlois, good morning. Thomas, good morning. Where's the bow tie? Melody, good morning. Excited to go to the box today. Awesome. Hopefully the rain holds. Looks like it's going to be an overcast day, but rain should hold, which would be great. Cartel, definitely no surprise, but I don't like it. I mean, I'm talking about Derek Carr. I'm with you, man. I mean, it's what we expected, so I'm not going to melt over it. But it further illustrates the problem that you're going to have. So you're just not close to winning, and they keep spending like they are. And it's disappointing. Hey, Michael, good morning. Hunter, morning. Haven't been able to watch much baseball this season. Is catcher our biggest weakness? Defensively, yes. I don't think there's even any doubt. I think you're a really good defensive team, but it's one of the things we talked about all throughout the lead up to the season was who was going to establish themselves there. Luis Hernandez is clearly your best option right now. And I think what you're going to see is probably that continue as Hernandez starts. And, you'll probably see maybe Aaron Beatty as a pinch hit, late game replacement when the game's in hand. You may get starts during the midweek. But, yeah, I think Hernandez is your best guy. He's the one who's going to start in conference play. Hey, Jesse, good morning. Lance, Musso dropped the gem last night on Musso at the box about his girlfriend. Was she the winner from The Bachelor? Our little Musso's growing up. No, he's not dating the girl from The Bachelor. I don't want to talk too much about Musso's personal life. He doesn't talk too much about his personal life, quite honestly. But I just found out like this week that he has a girlfriend. Apparently, they've been dating for like 2 months. But yeah, he kind of let that drop. But no, it did not work out with the girl from The Bachelor. This is a new girl. I don't even know her name. He won't tell me. But anyway, if Carr was cut June 1st, what would have been the cap hit? So you would have saved $30 million against the cap this year. But remember, that doesn't help you right now. You have to get within cap compliance before the start of the league year, which is Wednesday, I believe. I think it's Wednesday. The 12th. It's Wednesday, yeah, 12th, Wednesday. So you have to get within cap compliance by Wednesday. So if you designated Carr as a post-June 1 release, that you wouldn't have saved that money until then. So you say, what good does it do you then? Well, you could always sign free agents after June, and you got to sign your draft picks and all that sort of stuff. So you could make a trade for a player with a nice contract, whatever. There's things you could do. But it would have minimized next year's cap hit. So next year would have been, I believe, in the 20. Like the contract's been redone now, so I'm looking here at Spotrac, and it's been updated to account for the new restructure. So I don't remember offhand what it would have been next year, but I think it was in the 20, maybe $8 million range, which is palatable. But here's the thing, like, so next year in 2026, his cap hit, if he's on the roster, is $69 million. His dead cap hit is $59.6 million. So it will be cheaper next year for Derek Carr not to be on the roster than for him to be on the roster. However, he's going to carry a massive cap hit of $59.6 million. And then, oh, by the way, in 2027, they'll carry a $40 million dead cap hit. So it's just, you will have Derek Carr on your books through 2029. You will have Derek Carr on your books now through 2029. That's bad accounting. That's bad cap management. That's bad contract structure. That's being irresponsible. That's why the Saints are what they are. Hey, Brennan Huff, good morning. Leon Williams, yes, you're stuck with Carr for at least one more year, but you're stuck paying for Carr through 2029. Brett DeGrow, good morning. Guy Brooks, need to fire Loomis today. Gail Benson, I'm with you. Gail Benson's not going to do it. I've been yelling about that for years now. It's why last year, when they restructured Derek Carr, before last season, I melted. And everyone's like, oh, we always knew that's what they were going to do. Yeah, no. It's what made the most sense to get within cap compliance. But it doesn't make the most sense if you're trying to win, because you're not going to win with him. And now you've exacerbated this problem for years down the road, because every time you restructure, you kick more and more money and more years onto the back of a contract. And that's the problem. Hey, Trivia, good morning. Loan coverage, I want to boycott the Saints, but I know it won't. It won't work. Yeah. Hey, Sheldon, I think they have cap space opening next year with some expiring contracts. Maybe it's what they were thinking. Brother, you're still not, even with the Carr restructure, you're still not done. They're going to have to restructure guys like Cesar Ruiz, like they've already done Eric McCoy. This is the problem with this approach. You never catch up. You never catch up. As long as you keep spending, you never catch up. And they keep spending every year. So like you could say some contracts are expiring. Great. Well, guess what? New contracts that you've restructured are going to be on the books with dead cap money and high cap hits because of what you have to do right now to get within cap compliance. You never, until you're willing to just stop and let those contracts expire and play a bunch of young, cheap players, you're never going to recycle that. You're never going to catch up. It's like if you have bad credit card debt, instead of saying, we're going to stop spending and pay off this credit card debt, you say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go get a new line of credit with a higher limit, roll all this into that, and now we can keep spending more. Like that's what they're doing every year. Like, as someone who I would assume all of you are, you have a household, you're head of a household, or husband, wife, whatever. Like you understand that. Like you understand managing the budget of your household. Like a professional franchise is no different. It's a much larger scale. I mean, unless you're like Elon Musk, but like it's a much larger scale. But it's the concepts the economic principles are no different. Eli, I think Paulson gets on the open market. What Paulson gets on the open market will surprise some people. Hard to find starting corners. Man, you say that, and maybe you're right, but I'll tell you this. I remember looking this up. So Spotrac has his market value at 11.1 million average annual salary, 2 years, 22 million is the is their projected contract for Paulson and Debo. And if he gets more than that, I'd be really surprised. Like they have him, his comps are Rasul Douglas, DJ Reed, Tyson Campbell, Jonathan Jones. I mean, kind of in that range. So, and look, I mean, these are people that this is what they do professionally. Like all they do is look at these contracts and put these numbers and just compare all this stuff out. So, I mean, 11 million per 2 year, 22 million. I mean, Saints will have it. They just freed up $30 million in cap space with Derek Carr. If they want to sign him, I'm not sure I want to. I mean, I'd love to, but I want him to get younger and cheaper. Hey, Jamie, good morning. Saints are tone deaf. I understood this when they were trying to win a championship with Drew, but this has become almost comical. Hey, Austin, good morning. Went to Rouse for the first time last night. We're impressed. Great deals on steak, some good, clean, sugar-free bacon, which you know I'm all about. I do know that. Our guy Austin is on the carnivore diet, all meat, all the time. Let's roll. Love that. Like we were meant to be. Cavemen walking around. I'm not eating that stupid berry on a tree. I'm going to go kill a buffalo and eat it with my bare hands. Sounds kind of awesome, actually. Hey, Deborah, good morning. Hey, Gunner, good morning. How's that Jared Jones performance round when overreacted to the 0 for 5 in game? Yeah, man. That's why I love baseball. And I understand that's why for some people, baseball is maddening. For me, like, I love it. That's why I love baseball, is you can hit a ball 400 feet and it's out. You can dribble a ball 4 feet and you're on base. You can go 0 for 5 one day and look like you don't belong. You can go 3 for 4 the next day with a homer and 2 doubles. It's just, I think baseball is the most unpredictable sport because it's the only sport, literally the only sport where like Southern could come to the box and beat LSU. There's no other sport where that would happen. Hey, Leon, Saints will surprise us, make it 2 rounds deep in the playoffs. I'm trying to be optimistic. Hey, Tavanga De Silva, good morning from Sri Lanka. Thanks for being there, man. We appreciate you. DGX, Saints not going anywhere as long as Loomis is the GM. Ryan, Saints keep delaying the inevitable. They need to take their medicine for the bad contracts over 7 years. You know, and Ryan, this is such a good time to do it too, man. It would have been such a good time to do it, like with a new head coach. That you had the cover of a new head coach, and I gave you the example, and it was Zach Taylor. It was Zach Taylor with Cincinnati. You know, Cincinnati had their run with Andy Dalton, and you can laugh at that, but they made the playoffs a bunch. They just never won in the playoffs, right? They had their run with Andy Dalton. They moved on. They went in the tank. They drafted Joe Burrow. You know, they went in the tank with Zach Taylor year 1. They drafted Joe Burrow. They went from 2 wins to 4 wins. Burrow had the knee injury, but he comes back from that, and then they're a Super Bowl. And now they're a perennial contender. They haven't won it yet, but they're a contender. Like, and yes, that's all contingent on drafting Burrow. And I'm not saying that the next Burrow is there for the Saints, but the one certainty is that you're never going to get there in the path you're following right now. So do you just keep wandering down this path that you know is leading you nowhere? Or do you try to divert? Do you backtrack and divert? Mark Allen, Saints are making it easy to hate them. Brad David, good morning. Shane O'Mac, Carr contract does set the stage for a young quarterback to be drafted. Apparently, Carr had interest in testing the market. We're stuck for 2 years. Maybe the future's coming. Yeah, I don't believe that, Shane. I mean, look, okay, hold on. You said sets the stage for a young quarterback to be drafted. Okay. They drafted a young quarterback the last 2 years. Might they take a quarterback again as a day 3 pick? Sure. Or are you taking someone you think is your franchise quarterback? That's a big difference, like at the top of the draft. And that I don't believe they're going to do. Hey, Jeff, good morning. No, morning, Matt. Finally listened to all the walk-up songs for the baseball team. Ethan Fry, Zach Cowan, and John Pearson have the best taste in music. Nathan, good morning. Do you think the 2025 season is the last one with Derek Carr? Probably, because, so with this restructure, next year, it would cost you $69 million to have him on the roster, it would cost you $59 million if you cut him, if he's not on the roster. So it would be less expensive to cut Carr next year than to have him on the roster. However, the dead cap number is still $59 million, and the 2027 dead number is $40 million. So you've got now, you have $99 million in potential dead cap money over 26 and 27. $100 million against your cap in 26 and 27 to not have Derek Carr in your team. Like, that's what bad contracts do to you. And that's where the Saints are. Thomas, glad Josh, please. Yeah, so if you're just joining, Josh Thompson, offensive lineman from Northwestern, not at LSU practice yesterday. He's still at Northwestern. They're on a quarter system, so he will be joining. He'll finish the semester March. It's a Friday. It's March 21st. So in 2 Fridays, and then he'll come down and finish spring practice. He'll be here for like the second half of spring practice. Damon Wilson, my legs nearly gave out when you mentioned his dead cap in 2027. I thought it was just 2026. Nope. Big Dog Q, Tim Gotro, Merrick, with the decisions Mickey has made with Carr, is he handcuffing more? Yes. Yes. Club, what up, man? Charles Coleman, Mickey Loomis still salty over DA firing. I don't think that's the case. I think this is just what he thinks is the path forward. Yep. He chose Derek Carr, paid him, and is doubling down on it. Hey, Brad, Gail Benson has no clue, and that is why Loomis is not going anywhere. Linda agreed. Carr cap in 24 was only $14 million. He was a top 10 player on the team. I believe Carr's cap hit this year is $20 million. Year after that's insane. Well, it's $20 million now because of the restructure, right? So you were able, his number was going to be $50 million, but with the restructure, it saves you $30 million bucks. But what it does is it inflates the number in future years. You take that money from this year and you kick it into future years. So again, net in 2026, if he's on the roster, it costs you $69 million bucks. If he's not, your dead cap number is $59.6 million. So either way, minimum Carr cost you next year is $59 million, unless you do another restructure next year to have him on the roster, which I wouldn't put past him. Danny, I'm so apathetic about the Saints. I always watch. They can't hurt me right now. I feel the same way. Like, I'm just not going to let them hurt me anymore. I'll watch the games on Sundays. I know what to expect. I'm just not going to be moved by it. Hey, Dad, good morning. Jeremy Sagely, good morning. Dylan, AFR rant incoming. Unfortunately, Dylan, no. I mean, at least not one I'm planning, but sometimes I get going and then it lights the fuse and I don't intend to yell, but it may happen. Brennan, NC State basketball fired their coach. Will Wade to NC State. I'll tell you, I'll just plant the seed and tell you it's one to watch. Don't be surprised if you start to hear Will Wade to Texas. I'm starting to hear that rumbling that Texas may fire their coach and their primary target would be Will Wade. So, listen, this much I know. I don't know anything about NC State, zero. So, or who they may hire. So I have nothing to add to that. What I will say is pretty definitively, Will Wade is going to be a Power 4 coach next season. Like, someone's going to hire him this year. And he will have left McNeese after 2 years in a much better spot than he found it, right? I think it would be devastating if he's in the SEC and you had to see him go win with somebody else. But I think there's a good chance that happens. So file that away. Again, I'm not saying it's done or anything, but you're starting to hear those whispers that Texas is going to fire their coach and Wade would be their guy. Linda, Carr as a quarterback is not the problem. 34 million a year is not the problem. You said 26 would be 59 million. Did I hear you correctly? Yeah. So Linda, that's okay. But the 30 or 40 million is fine, but that's after the restructure. That's the point I'm making. Like, I'm a market value for Derek Carr, okay, if you felt like you could win with him. That's the point that I'm making pretty consistently. Like, if you thought you could win with Derek Carr and he cost you 30, 40 million bucks, okay, like that's Dak 60 million, Burrow 55, Love 55, Trevor Lawrence 55, Tua 53, Goff 53, Herbert 52, Lamar 52, Hurts 51, Kyler Murray 46, Deshaun Watson 46, Kirk Cousins 45. This was last year. Patrick Mahomes 45, Josh Allen 43. I mean, understand, Mahomes at 45, Allen, who just won the MVP at 43,000. You're trying to tell me, and Derek Carr was at 37.5. Like, he's in the middle of the pack numbers as far as the rankings. Carr was tied with Aaron Rodgers for 16th. So smack dab in the middle of the league financially. Okay. So I'm not disagreeing with you, but again, that's after a restructure, and it's still too much money to pay a guy that you can't win with. That's my contention. Who Dat Tigers, good morning. Bubba Smith, good morning. Y'all, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. We appreciate y'all for being there. Let me not forget this. I hope Dale's watching. I haven't seen him yet, but let me hope he is.
Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parish built. Parish built. Parish built. From your hometown. ParishBuilt.com.
All right. You need an orthopedist? You go to Brock. You need a roof, you call Parish. Remember, Brock, the after-hours clinic, open nights and weekends. You can bypass the ER. Go see our friends over at Brock. And, of course, Parish Construction and Roofing. ParishBuilt.com. Y'all gave up on Rattler already. I didn't give up on Rattler already. I think this with Rattler. I think you haven't seen anything to show you he can be your franchise. You also haven't seen anything to show you he can't be. So I'm not giving up on Spencer Rattler. But I also, given that you haven't seen anything that suggests he is the guy, then I don't know why you would commit to that. So if you have the opportunity to draft another young quarterback, do it. Bubba Smith, good morning. Pointing out Carr is never here outside of football season. Jameis did more to promote the city during the Super Bowl. You know, Jordan, I am okay with that. There's a lot of guys that don't live in the city outside of the season. So I'm not going to crush him for that. That feels a bit unfair. That feels like piling on. And again, I don't know if he lives. I don't know if Derek Carr lives in New Orleans outside of the season, or how much time he spends here outside of the season. But that feels a bit like piling on. I'm not going to be unfair to Derek Carr in that regard when there's a lot of guys that don't live in the city in the offseason. Jackson Dart, depends on where you draft him. Hey, David, I watched the prelims last night. I did not watch the main card. I didn't buy it last night. Prelims were a lot of fun. Let's see. Well, Pineda lost. Not surprised. Okay, Ankalev is just... I'm telling you, man. You see some dude coming with a beard that has no mustache, you in trouble. All those dudes are taking over this sport, man. And he won the belt by decision. Wow. Wow. Who won the Gaethje fight? Did Gaethje win? Well, Gaethje's a lot of fun, isn't he? Anyway. Yeah, so I watched prelims. I didn't buy the pay-per-view last night, so I didn't see it. Brent, Carr isn't bad. We can win games with Carr. We can't afford anyone else. Need to use the draft right again this year. You're missing the point. Not saying Carr is bad. I don't know. I don't know. I've said this so many times over the last 2 years. I don't know any other way to say it. Derek Carr isn't bad. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL. But what is your goal? Is your goal to win a championship? Because as long as Derek Carr is in place, especially with the way his contract is structured, you cannot afford to put a roster around him to win. So you have a quarterback who, as we've seen over 11 years, has a lower ceiling. He is a mid-tier quarterback in the NFL. Lower mid, upper bottom tier quarterback. I don't even think that is not even debatable. Like, we've got an 11-year sample size to know what Derek Carr is. So lower ceiling, okay, not the worst, not your biggest problem, but he has a lower ceiling, but his cap hit is disproportionate because of the way the first contract you gave him and then continuing to restructure it has put you in a situation where you're paying him now, or he's counting against your cap now, like one of the top quarterbacks in the league. So, and you're going to say, well, it's $20 million. Yes, because of the restructure. But next year, that number, when he's going to be a year older, is going to be minimum $59 million, where he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league against the cap. And it's just not justifiable. Like, that's the problem. I'm not saying Derek Carr is dog water. I'm not saying he's the worst quarterback who's ever played in the NFL. I'm telling you, he's not good enough to win a championship. And the contract you're giving him is disproportionate with his ability. That's the problem. And as a result, you can't build a roster around him. And so you're going to be 7-win team over and over and over again. Hey, David, good morning. There you go, Thomas. Get some, Dale. Dalton Barnett, Rockets beat up on the Pels again. Yeah, I saw it was good. I want the Pels to lose every game. More ping pong balls. Randall, morning, Matt. Do you think LSU has enough offense to compete at the top of the SEC? Oh, yeah, yes. I mean, I think they hit 1 through 9. I don't know that outside of Jones, you have anybody that's going to be a true power hitter. I mean, Dickinson will get to double-digit homers. Hernandez, I think, hit 23 last year. I mean, you got the ability to see some of those guys get up there, but Friday was a good indicator. You had 6 different players hit homers. So you have power surge in the lineup. I don't think you're going to be a team that hits 150 bombs this year. But could you as a team hit 100 homers? Yeah, but right now they're averaging 9 runs a game. I mean, you expect that to come down a bit in conference play, but anyway. Lewis, morning, Matt. We'll wait to NC State, maybe. Again, what I've heard is rumblings about Texas. I haven't heard anything about NC State. Big Sean, truth, the Saints aren't trying to win. They refuse to make the main move that will help us win. Greg, Matt, essentially, we'll be handcuffed for the next 2 years. Can't make any moves. Yes. Greg, for the New Orleans Saints, the only way out of this mess is if you have another draft like 2017. When you draft 6 dudes that are all immediate impact starters for you, and then you have half of your starters on rookie contracts. Like, that's the only way out of it. Do you trust the Saints to be able to go do that? I don't. They haven't shown us they can. Hey, Renee. Good morning. Carr situation is a disaster. Would love to see the Saints draft Quinn Ewers around 3 or 4. So I talked about that last week when there was a report came out the Saints met with Ewers and some people melted over it. Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback. People are like, did you see him at the combine? I'm like, did you see him play real football? Like, I don't care about the pajama Olympics. Like, I watched that dude play this year with what we learned was a torn oblique, and he threw for 3,400 yards and 31 touchdowns. Yeah, I'll take that guy on a day 3 pick. Of course I would. Hey, Brian, good morning. Any word on the new basketball arena? Not yet. Go Tigers. Morning, Matt. Can't wait to see how the Tiger staff does when the real competition starts next weekend. I don't know that the real competition starting next weekend, Go Tigers, because they open up with Missouri, and Missouri is awful. So, and you said the bullpen looked shaky. Didn't look shaky yesterday or the day before. Again, like when you start talking about the bullpen, if we're talking about Casey Evans, Zach Cowan, Connor Binge, the guys you know you're going to count on, those guys have been awesome. It's the guys you're trying to learn about, the newcomers, the young guys, that where you've seen some of that wobble. But if LSU, let's say next Friday, LSU has beat Missouri 3-2 through 7, and Anderson gets you through 7, hand the ball to Casey Evans to get you 6 outs, lights out. Abner Neal, good morning. Rex, Matt, what are your thoughts on the Louisville quarterback Tyler Shaw? He's elite, could be a great second-day pick. Your thought? Sure. If they scout him and draft another quarterback, I'm down for drafting another quarterback. Yes, I'm down for drafting a quarterback every year if you're not going to commit to moving up to the top of the draft to take who you think is going to be your franchise quarterback, then I'm good drafting a quarterback every year. I'm good drafting a quarterback every year somewhere in the draft until you hit. Keep feeding the nickel slot until you hit a jackpot. I mean, Russell Wilson was around 3 guy. Dak Prescott was around 4 guy. Kirk Cousins was around 5 guy. Brady was around 6. Brock Purdy was around 7. Like, they're out there. They're out there. Brent, Loomis not leaving because he's second in charge of the future. That's so a lot of people keep referencing that, and there's just a big misconception. So Gail Benson doesn't have any heirs, so she has named Dennis Lauscha the executor of her estate, which means that he will oversee the sale of the franchise and all that sort of stuff whenever Mrs. Benson dies. That's all. People are like, oh, Loomis doesn't have ownership in the franchise. There's nothing like that. What is more, what this is more rooted in is when there was the big skiff, right? Where, when Rita and Tom Benson became estranged from the family over the whole Gale thing, there were people in the organization that took sides, and the ones that sided with Gale have her favor, and Mickey Loomis is one of them. So he's a made man, effectively. New basketball arena is ridiculous. Should repurpose the old Cow Palace. Yeah, they're never going to do that. And the other thing, too, is with the new arena, what's being proposed, by the way, also, is mixed use between the city parish and LSU. So not only would it be an LSU venue, but you'd also be able to bring concerts and different things like that to Baton Rouge, which you haven't been able to attract top flight acts in a long time. So there's a lot of reasons why functionally and financially it does make sense. No, Mizzou at LSU seems like the one time we should expect to sweep an SEC team. Yeah. But look, you didn't sweep Omaha. It's baseball. Like, expecting a sweep is always challenging. And you played at Mizzou last year. Or was it 2 years ago? They played at Mizzou last year and took 2 out of 3. They lost. It was a cold series. I remember I watched one of the games at my dad's house. I think it was 2 years. No, here it is. Yeah, they lost game 2, 8-7. They run ruled them in game 1, 12-1, and then they lost game 2, 8-7 against a bad Missouri team. Now, that was on the road, but I mean, can never. I mean, will LSU be favored to win all 3 games against Missouri next week? Yes. Should you just expect a sweep? Always feels like a big challenge, man. Nathan, Mickey Loomis needs to listen to Dave Ramsey. Brad Musso said on his podcast, after the weekend, the season is already 25% over. Who dat Tigers? I didn't expect anything different from Loomis. Go Tigers. I've been a Saints fan for 50 years. Hate pulling for them to lose. That's what it takes to get Loomis fired. I'm okay watching a horrible team. I just don't think he's going to be fired. Shane, problem with these quarterback contracts, the market keeps going up and up. Average contract for a starter now demands 30 to 40. I get that, but the cap keeps going up too. So it's less about the dollar and it's more about the percentage of the cap. So for example, Derek Carr this year has with the restructure is at 7 million. Hang on one second. Anyway, so Carr with the restructure right now, count like his number will be 7% of the cap. Next year, his number is 22% of the cap. Like, that's the problem. When you have a mid quarterback who's counting for 22% of your cap, like you can't build a roster capable of winning. If Patrick Mahomes counts 22% against your cap, okay. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, okay. Derek Carr? No. Barry Day, good morning. Carl, rumor heard was Miami, Florida State, or Texas. Noah, Brad's already is 14. Pearson boys can play. They're never going to trade back. I'm with you, Barry, but Mickey Loomis, in all the time he's been the Saints general manager, has never traded back. There's no reason to believe he will, so why have the conversation? Best basketball arena are the smaller ones. I don't even think you have to look at that. I think you look at like Auburn Arena. They did it right. Auburn Arena and Ole Miss. They built new arenas, more intimate, closer to the floor, premium seating. Like that's the way to do it. Draft viewers, let him sit out a couple of years. Rattler needs talent. Again, I'm not judging Rattler. Again, I'm not throwing dirt on Spencer Rattler. I'm not saying he won't be a good quarterback. There's nothing you saw last year that tells you he will be awesome, and there's nothing that suggests he couldn't be. But you don't go all in banking on that. That's the difference. So okay, draft another one. I wish Loomis would hire me and overpay for less than average performance. Hey, Greg, headed to NOLA with some first timers on Wednesday for a golf trip. Any recommendations on dinner spots in or near the French Quarter? Yeah. What do you want to eat? My goodness. Arno's is awesome. Dickie Brennan's if you want a great steak. If you want something where you'll eat a great meal that's a little more casual, Redfish Grill on Bourbon near Canal is a great spot. You pop into the Carousel Bar at the Montleone and have a cocktail. That's just an experience that you should have. You got a million options. What do y'all want to eat? You got Acme Oyster House, actually right next to Dickie Brennan's. Just what do you want to eat? Merrick, Carr's laughing all the way to the bank. Get a fire stick at IPTV Smarters. David, can the contract be restructured so we can have a Derek Carr day? What do you mean? A Derek Carr day? Justin is a dog. Justin who? Who am I missing? Ewers is Carr 2.0? Maybe. Maybe not. If he's Carr 2.0, he's got to start 11 years in the league. Oh, but like Bobby Bonilla. Got it. So he's like on the fence, on the hook for like $1 million a year for the next 30 years. Erica, like, my God, she lets her alarm go off. Like, I can hear it. It's going off for like 10 minutes. Like, and Drew's in there sleeping. Like, turn off your alarm. All right. Please smash the like button if you're 218 watching live. Appreciate y'all very much. Please smash the like button if you would subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. What's going on? Good morning. Big Sean Burrow may want out of Cincy if they keep messing up their roster. They're not going to let him out. Sean, what crypto exchange do you use? Honestly, Sean, I have crypto on a lot of different exchanges. Some centralized and some DEXs. Remember, if you use a decentralized exchange, you don't technically own the crypto. So like if you use Coinbase or crypto.com or something like that. But it's much easier, right, to use those platforms than to go find a decentralized exchange. But if you're just starting, that might be a better way to go, just because it's easier. And there's stability behind those, but then you have like the FTX thing that everybody melted over. Well, that was a situation. See, understand, like with a decentralized exchange, nobody owns that. With something like Coinbase or FTX or crypto.com, people own those. Linda, Saints will never win with the current defense. Release the entire defense except for Kool-Aid. Hire the LSU defense for $500,000 per play. Yeah, Linda, that's not really something that you could actually do. Michael Cook, good morning. D. Granger, if the Saints don't draft a quarterback within the first 3 rounds, they're not serious about winning. If Shedeur is there at 9, are you taking him? Shane, I would. 100%. If he's there at 9, I'm taking him. I like Shedeur a lot. I know that there's some mixed feelings on him, but Shedeur Sanders, most of that is rooted in the fact that people don't like Deion, which I don't understand. I mean, Deion represents everything that societally parents should want for their kids. He demands accountability from him. He stands in front of his team and says, you're going to go to class. If you don't, you lose your NIL money. He stands in front of him. He's like, we're going to tuck in our shirts. There was the day at practice where they came out and they were lollygagging. He made them all leave the field and come back and start practice over. Like the level of accountability for young people from Deion, I think, is awesome. But he also wants them to get what they deserve, which is also awesome. I have no problem with that. Shedeur comes over last year, 2020, the 23 season, gets sacked more than any quarterback in the country, gets the crap beat out of him, never complains about it at all, by the way. Comes back this year, leads the nation in completion percentage, and leads Colorado to a 9-win season. He was awesome. Like, I don't understand I know what it's rooted in. It's just like people still have like prime time from 30 years ago seared into their brain, or Deion calling himself Coach Prime, or just the unorthodox way he's saying, like, I'm not going on recruiting visits, they can come to me. Like, whatever that is rooted in. I think Shedeur is going to be a really good pro player. I think he's got the makeup, got great genes. I think his dad has instilled in him what it's going to take to be a good professional. He's already seen that. In the NIL world, he's already made 7 figures. He's made 7 figures. I mean, I would be completely down with it. One of the things Mike Detillier used to always tell us when we do those segments with Mike D forever, he'd say the biggest unknown is how money could possibly change someone. What is that young person when they get millions of dollars in the bank one day? How does it change them? Does it change their work ethic? Does it change their drive, their motivation? Do they let their guard down? Like, how does money change you? But in the NIL world, you don't have to ask that. You have to wonder about that anymore, because these guys are already millionaires in college. Like, what you're getting with some of these guys already. Hey, David, good morning. Saw Good Earth bourbon out of Terrebonne Parish on a grocery shelf. Have you tried it? I have not. I didn't know there was one out of Terrebonne. Interesting. Make defense great again. Morning, Matt. What's the latest in LSU spring practice news? So they practiced yesterday. I did get a couple of tidbits. Again, no media availability, but there's a lot of people who were able to attend. So I was able to get some tidbits. One thing I shared at LouisianaSports.net, Josh Thompson, the transfer lineman out of Northwestern, he's still in Evanston So they're on a quarter system. So they finish the semester March 21st. So after that, he'll come and finish spring. So he'll be here for like the second half of spring. But he'll be here for the spring game, all that stuff. But just like in the second half. Jawan Johnson was at quarterback. No Colin Hurley, as expected. Hurley was not there. He's still back home in Jacksonville. Also, with no Josh Thompson, I was told the first offensive line left to right was Tyree Adams at left tackle, Paul Mabeng at left guard, no surprise. Braylon Moore, Virginia Tech transferred center, no surprise. DJ Chester was at right guard, and then Weston Davis was your first team right tackle. So, Mansour Delane and Ashton Stamps were your first team corners. Tamarcus Cooley and Tobiano, I was told, ran with the first team at safety. So, Caden Durham doesn't have he wore when he fractured his toes or dislocated his toes, he had to wear that specialty shoe the rest of the year. He's completely healed, so he's back in a normal cleat. It's good to see. Or hear. I didn't see. But anyway, they'll practice again Tuesday and then Wednesday. Wednesday is our first media availability. So we'll know much more on Wednesday. Okay. It's a bootleg streaming app. Got it. Let's see. Saints have so many holes to fill. It's going to take more, at least a couple of years, to get this team anywhere. I hope Loomis takes a step back in the draft, lets Moore build his team. Glad to see my wife ain't the only one who doesn't turn off the alarm, dude. There's times she will, when she's out, she'll let that alarm go for 10 minutes. It rings once. I hit my feet are on the floor. I'm up. She'll hit the snooze 15 times. Toki dokie, late, but I'm here. Go Tigers. Go sleeping in and go make transfer portal magic happen, Mulkey. Yeah, I know the women lost yesterday, but again, no Flaugier, shorthanded. You held Texas under 60 points. I like where they are. You're getting Flaugier healthy, get back for the tournament. You're going to be locked into a 2 seed. Now let's go. Who Dat Tigers, all pay-per-views included along with NFL MLB. Cisco, what up, man? Let's see. Morning, Matt. Hope Eric, you and Drew are doing great. We are, man. Good to see you. Can't tell if LSU has a good or bad offseason. Plenty of negative with a fine high school class and NIL class. Your thoughts? If we're talking football, John, I think they had an awesome offseason. A top 10 high school class, the number 1 portal class. You got Nussmeier back. Perkins is coming back. Jacoby and Guillory coming back. Both them off of injury. You're basically getting 2 starters back off of injury that you didn't have last year on the defensive side. I think LSU, and I understand why people outside of Baton Rouge nationally are going to sleep on this LSU team, but do so at your own risk. I think they have built a roster like Ohio State had a year ago, where you had a veteran quarterback in Will Howard and a super talented roster around him. I think LSU's done the same thing. Now, remember, Ohio State lost 2 games last year. They had a good draw, got hot, won the playoff. But I think sorry. I'm sorry. I totally lost my train of thought. I think LSU has built a roster capable of competing for a national championship. And if they're not in the playoff, that's a giant disappointment. Trivia, what are the decentralized crypto platforms? If you go on, you understand, Solana and Ethereum and Cardano, those are blockchains upon which smart contracts can be built for these different projects. Binance, like Uniswap, for example, is probably the highest volume decentralized exchange. Okay, I'll check it out. Devin Kelly, good morning. Go Tigers. I wish the Saints would have hired Dion. I don't think Dion would have hired the Saints, if you know what I mean. H-Town Creole, Saints will not win until Loomis is gone. That's not happening with Gale owning the team. I agree. Shedeur Sanders would give the Saints something special with his ability and talent. Saints fans would finally have a mobile quarterback to get excited about. I just don't think they're going to, like, if he falls to 9 and he's there, I'd absolutely take him. I just don't think he's going to fall to 9. Harley, morning, Matt. You still have static from the mic. Why? Sorry about that, guys. David, Ankalev was tactical, walking down. Pereira, Alex isn't as formidable when he's fighting defensively, moving backwards. Gaethje did Gaethje things, utilizing his uppercut to make control of the fight. Zeev do well. 12 days notice, very true. Look, you never get cheated with a Justin Gaethje fight. That much is for sure, right? Like, you're going to get an entertaining fight, so I'm sure it was. Shane O'Mac, Commanders are all in. Traded for Debo. Now, according to Rossini, interested in a deal for Trey Hendrickson. Also, it happens when you have a young, inexpensive roster. You can do things like that. For example, Washington has $93.8 million in cap space, the second most in the NFL. That's what happens when you have a franchise quarterback on a rookie deal, which is why I keep saying keep drafting quarterbacks until you find your franchise on a rookie deal. That's what happens when the cap keeps going up and you don't do bad contracts. You have tons of money to be able to go do a deal for Trey Hendrickson and to be able to trade for Debo Samuel and pay him to complement your rookie quarterback. Now, you're going to have to break the bank for Jaden in 3 years. And when that happens, it's going to shift the way they do business. But this is what you can do when you have a rookie quarterback and you've done good deals. Shedeur ain't coming here. I think he'll be off the board before we pick. Even if he's on the board at 9, we won't draft him because our organization is stupid. The one thing I don't know, Big Sean, is I don't know what Kellen Moore's role is in that, right? Like, I agree he's not. I agree Shedeur will be off the board before 9. But I was just answering the hypothetical somebody asked. What I think would be interesting is I don't know what Kellen Moore's role will be. Again, with Dennis Allen, you had a defensive-minded coach. When Sean Payton was here, you had Drew Brees, so you weren't looking at quarterback. Now you've got a guy who just came from an organization where in Dallas, you had a 4th rounder in Dak, who became the franchise. He did 1 year in LA where they had Herbert, who was a 1st rounder, but then you go to Philly and you win a Super Bowl with Hurts, who was a 2nd rounder, who became your franchise. So, and stylistically, 3 different quarterbacks as well. So what does he want? What does he value? I think that's the one variable we don't know yet. Hey, Bill. Go Tigers. Seth, good morning. I'll buy XRP whole thing in 10 years. Y'all know I've been buying XRP like crazy for the last 4 years. I have an auto purchase every day for XRP and Bitcoin. I buy XRP and Bitcoin every day. Just a recurring purchase. Just set it, forget it. I buy every day. Stack bags. If you saw the news about Trump establishing a federal crypto reserve, the tokens he mentioned were Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, and Solana. The first 4 I mentioned are my 4 biggest holdings. I don't have any Solana. Probably should, but don't. Tokidoki, let's see. They're in a good place. Thinking 1 or 2 transfers for depth. Maybe Michaela's running herself in the ground with Flagier and Rosario, having a rough time. Look, Kim's going to go in the portal and get talent in the portal. So the Saints use all the draft picks, not trade away unless it's for someone that's falling, can't pass on. First time in 15 years they've had more than 7 picks. What they've had more than 7 picks. He just never uses all 7 picks. He trades up. Okay, thank you. Bill, Matt's crypto class. My birthday is monthly. Shout out Poe for WWE slamming the Texas girl. Washington sitting pretty. They're my favorite quarterback until we get one. Said Rosario meant Wolfenbarger. My apologies. Carl the Cat. Saw Eddie George took the Bowling Green job, 5-year deal. Okay, no kidding. So Eddie was at Tennessee State, right? Good for him, man. H-Town Creole, if Kellen Moore's smart, he'll draft the best offensive lineman available, Campbell Banks, and hope Milroe falls later rounds. H-Town Creole, if you ever come in here and talk about Jalen Milroe to the Saints again, I'll ban you for life. Jalen Milroe is a laughable option at quarterback in the NFL. You've got to be able to throw accurately, and he cannot. Comically bad. No, never. You want to have a surefire way for me to be out on the Saints forever? Draft Jalen Milroe. Tiger Poppy, good morning. If Sanders falls 5'6", would you give up one of the thirds, picks him to move up? I don't think that's going to be enough. Like, I don't think you're going from 9 to 5 just giving up a pick swap and a 3. You're probably giving up a pick swap, 3, in like next year's 1. So that's not enough. Fan reacts. Garrett threw another pick yesterday. Yeah, I heard Jaden Osbury had a pick at the end of practice. Pick 9 will be Genty or Warren. Both are freaks. I doubt it'll be Genty. Tyler Warren could be, but that's going to be contingent upon what you do in free agency. Like if you re-sign Juwan Johnson and you've got Foster on the final year of his deal, I think you probably go edge rusher. Look, the bottom line is you need everything. I'd be pumped if they draft Tyler Warren, just to be clear. I would be devastated if they took Ashton Genty. And not because I don't think Genty's a good player, but number one, I don't think your offensive line is great. And number two, running backs have a shorter shelf life and you're nowhere close to winning. If it was like Philly, where you were Saquon Barkley away from being a Super Bowl winner, that's one thing, but you're not. You're not even close. So why draft a position that depreciates faster than any other in the NFL and that you can find capable running backs up and down the league and you still are paying Alvin Kamara? Nah, man. Genty doesn't make a lick of sense. Randall, I prefer Carr the next 3 years than Milroe. Me too. Campbell slams Milroe, even with his half-inch short arms. Brian Ashcraft, if DP gets his retirement fight in New Orleans, you're going to go, oh, not, I'm not going to try to go. Like, I will be there sitting on the floor, hopefully up against the cage. You're talking about Dustin Poirier. I will 100% be there. Said the same thing about Jalen Hurts. Nope, that's not true, H-Town Creole. That is not true. That is unfair and untrue completely. No one ever said anything about Jalen Hurts' accuracy. Jalen Hurts went to Oklahoma and was stellar. Jalen lost his job to Tua, who was a top 5 quarterback in the draft. Like, Tua was a 5-star transcendent talent who just won the job. And Hurts transferred and went to a great system where he threw the ball a ton and was a Heisman finalist, by the way. Jalen Hurts in 2019 completed 69.7% of his passes. He completed 70% of his passes at Oklahoma. Like, and you want to talk about like quarterbacks that other quarterbacks they said that about that are athletic quarterbacks that can't throw? Oh, the list is much longer of quarterbacks that are athletic college quarterbacks that don't translate to the NFL than do. The short list of guys like Lamar Jackson, like Jalen Hurts, okay, those guys are outliers. That's the exception, not the rule. Spencer Rattler was a guy who was a dual threat guy who ends up dropping into round 5, and we'll see what he ever becomes up. But no, Like, if you actually watched Jalen Milroe play football this year, it was laughable. His inability. I had this throw seared into my brain against Tennessee where he was trying to throw an out route, a 10-yard out, and he threw it into the stands. He missed his receiver so bad. Like the play against Georgia when everybody, the game-winning touchdown throw to Ryan Williams, where Williams did the pirouette thing in midair and everything. That goes onto his stat sheet as a 70-yard touchdown, whatever it was. That ball was horrendously underthrown, and Ryan Williams made a beautiful adjustment. Don't give me any nonsense about how that was like intentionally underthrown to let his guy make play. That was a miserable ball thrown, and a freak show athlete went and made a play. Jalen Milroe is an absolute atrocity throwing the football. He will be more Anthony Richardson than he will Lamar Jackson. Can't throw the football. He is an inaccurate passer of the football. And to compare him to Jalen Hurts is insulting to Jalen Hurts. What teams pick ahead of us? 8 teams. If you're asking what teams might draft a quarterback, Tennessee, Cleveland, Giants, Patriots, Jacksonville, Raiders, Jets, Panthers, Saints. That's the order. Tennessee and Cleveland certainly could take quarterbacks. Giants at 3, there's some thought could try to move up into the top 2 to take a quarterback. New England not taking a quarterback. Jacksonville not taking a quarterback. Vegas could. But if Shadur's there at 6, I think they would take him. The Jets, to be determined. Carolina's not taking a quarterback. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 teams ahead of you that would draft a quarterback, which is why Ward and Sanders are not going to get to 9. I spit out my coffee when the guy said Milroe. Milroe's terrible, bro. Like, I take Milroe as a fullback. Milroe could be Hill 2.0. I'm not interested in drafting someone high to be a gadget player. If you're going to draft a quarterback, you're drafting a quarterback to be a quarterback. The draft will tell us a lot about which way Kellen Moore's trying to go. I think it's true. But the other thing too, Big Sean, that I just don't know, and you don't, like, none of us know, is like how much autonomy will he have? How much of it is Moore? How much of it is Loomis, Jeff Ireland, right? Like who has the say in the draft room? I don't know the answer to that. Baby Hans Miller. Y'all must have forgotten Hurts' last game in college against LSU. Oh, you mean against the greatest team ever? You mean when you had an NFL team going against a college team? No, I'll never forget it. I was there. Watched Joe Burrow throw for 6 touchdowns in that game. It was amazing. My goodness. Stephen Miller, morning, bud. Got to see Omar Cerna, LSU committed catcher, yesterday up close. Hit one at Parkview Baptist, almost landed on Sherwood Boulevard. Oh, cool. Very cool, man. Let's get him to campus, man. Steven, start passing the hat, man. Let's do an NIL deal to make sure he gets here. Oh, God, I got to get going. Milroe isn't that dude. Matt's right, unless he plays a Taysom Hill role. Jalen Milroe will never be starting quarterback in the NFL. I'd be stunned. Christian, does that not bother you about Garrett still throwing picks? I heard it was Jakeem Jackson who picked him off, did a good day yesterday. I mean, Christian, if you go run 50 plays in practice, like, yeah, a guy's going to throw an interception. What are you talking about? Like, that's going to happen. Okay, it's practice. Yeah. Guys throw picks. Is Warren that much better than Mason Taylor? Well, here's the thing, Barry. I think this is a deep tight end draft class, and you could get real value later in the draft. That's why I say wherever they are at 9, meaning the Saints are at 9, whoever is the best player available on their board at 9, I'm good taking, because you need everything. You need a starting offensive lineman. You need interior defensive line. You need edge rushers. Your linebackers are old, although I'm not sure who the linebacker is I would take at 9. If you don't re-sign Paulson Adebo, you could use cornerback. You need a safety. Like, you need everything. You need receiver help. Like, you need everything. So if they take Tyler Warren at 9, I'm great. If he's off the board and they take a defensive end or an edge rusher and they pick a tight end in round 3, okay. They'd take Mason Taylor in round 3, sure. You need another receiver. Yes. You need another everything. Richie, morning, Matt. Over the road a month now. Man, your honesty to some of these comments. Richie, I think the only reason, Wendell, what's up? I think primarily the reason that I've done well in my career is I'm honest. Like, I'm unapologetically honest. I'm going to tell you how I feel. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes we agree. Sometimes we don't. But nobody is ever going to, like, if I was to boil down this, no one is ever going to wonder, what? I wonder where Scone falls on that. Like, you're always going to know what I think. And you're never going to wonder if I'm being disingenuous. Like, I don't pander to people. I don't cater to the teams I cover, and they know that. And most of them respect that. I've had run-ins with people in the past who don't love my honesty, but I don't care. Like, I don't do the show for LSU. I don't do the show for the Saints. I do the show for you. And if the day comes when people collectively say, you know what, I'm tired of Scone. Been listening to him too long. I'm gonna listen to someone else. And the entire audience goes away. Okay. I'll go load bananas on the back of a truck. I'll do something else. I'll go sell something. I don't know. I'll go full-time at Parrish and sell roofs every day. I'm fortunate to do what I do, but I think a long time ago I came to the understanding that you cannot control what people think, so don't try. Just do your show, and if people like it, great. If they don't, it's what it is. It's like musicians. You could be a great musician, but if people don't like your work, you can't make people like your songs. Movies, you can't make people like your movies. Sometimes they work and sometimes they flop. It's like, what do? You just put it out there and see if people like it. And I've done okay, so I appreciate it. Wendell, Sabrion, you think Loomis will get out of the way, let Moore run the Saints the way he wants? No. Omar looks like a grown man in the box. Go Tigers. Who's the top receiver in the draft? Tedero McMillan? Yeah. What do y'all think? I don't know. I mean, I see his name a lot. The kid out of Arizona. I think he'd be great. Quarterbacks take more chances in practice, see what they can get away with. Breeze used to say and do that all the time. Yeah, I'm not going to overreact to an interception practice. The more quote at the first press release, we believe we're going to inside out build. Enough Stone to pick the first practice, says nothing about him. Actually says more about defensive backfield. Okay, last one, Barry. We love your honesty, respect you for it. The humor part is a bonus. Okay. All right, y'all, let's get out of here. I'm going to church. I'm going to pray for all of you today. By the way, I don't think you would mind me saying this. The Palmer family is expecting baby number 2 today. So Hunt's, I'm sure most people may know this. Hunt's wife Alyssa is pregnant, expecting their second, and she went into labor this morning. So they're at the hospital, and so please say a prayer for the Palmers, for Alyssa, for Hunt, for baby Palmer, number 2 coming along, for Myers, who's about to become big brother, that everything goes super safe today, that mom and baby are healthy, and everything's awesome. So if y'all get a shot, send up a few prayers for the Palmers today as they're expecting baby number 2 on a big day. So, okay, I'm going to get out of here and go to church. Y'all have an awesome day. Thank you for watching. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook like page, share the post. All of our sponsors linked in the description on YouTube. We'll get them tagged on Facebook. And Locked on LSU is live, so please go check out Locked on LSU. Would appreciate that greatly. Y'all have an awesome day.